And welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Tineke Robson, actor, writer, stunt woman. It's very cool to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So, first of all, how does one get involved in stunts?
Um, I kind of just rolled into it, to be honest. I have a big background in sports. I've always done sports since I was like three. I did gymnastics and horse riding and badminton and swimming and anything that I could do. And I trained as a dancer. And so I have this sporty background, but then I kind of went into musical theatre. And then when I was in London, I lived there for 4 years. Um, I signed up to an extras agency that they also kind of they do special action performance. So you have extras and then special action and then stunts. And I got a special action role on Justice League, the movie. We did like a couple
Yeah,
of
it's a good movie.
auditions,
Yeah.
and they took us through boot camps. And yeah, I was lucky enough to get a part in there and be one of the Amazonia warriors of Wonder Woman. And then yeah, I got the opportunity to ride a horse on set. They kind of just bumped me up because someone had broken her leg. And I kind of got the feel for what stunts is. And I thought at the time, well, this was a great experience. I probably won't pursue, like, I'm not as good as all these stunt performers because I thought I would, I wasn't, anywhere up to their level. But it just somehow turned out that when I came back to New Zealand and I started training with Dana Grant, her stunt school here, yeah, I kind of figured out like, oh, my background skills kind of help and I can do this. So, and that's how I then got the part on Evil Dead.
Oh, very, very good. So, I actually didn't know until I set this up that Evil Dead, a lot of it was made in New Zealand.
It was all
It
shot
was
here,
all shot.
yeah.
All right.
Well, this particular one, yeah, Evil Dead
Right,
Rise
right.
was.
Evil Dead Rise. Yeah. So, actually, before so that even comes up, I assume you're familiar with Evil Dead. Are you a horror movie fan?
Well, I wasn't up until now, really, up until I got involved. Um, the stunt coordinator made me watch one of the previous Evil Dead so he could so I can get an idea of what I was getting myself into. And I remember watching it a bit like this. Um, but because, you can see, because you have worked on film sets before, you know kind of how things work. So, obviously it's not real. And I really looked at the version and I was like, okay, what kind of effects did they use and how did they put the stunts in there and da 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 da. And then, yeah, and then when I got to work on this film, I mean, I probably had the best time. Like, it was the best 4 months. It was so much fun, so much fun. And now, having watched it twice, I feel a bit more interested to watch other horror movies and
Oh,
see,
interesting.
what is it that we like so much about feeling really afraid or scared or gored out of our skin, like grossness. What
Yeah.
is it that we like about it? But I think it's, we go to a cinema and we get all these feelings by watching something, and I think that's what we thrill as an audience. We want to feel things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to watch some more horrors.
All right. Well, that's interesting. So, you mentioned having a good time, and it was very cool seeing a lot of the photos you had on your Instagram of
Mm.
like some of the kids who were so they're like all slaughtered, but everyone's smiling and having a good time.
Yeah, because we had kids on set,
Yeah.
and the kids also had doubles, and I think the kid actors they had a great time. I don't think they struggled much with anything. I mean, they could see how amazing the prosthetics were and how real. And there was one time where I had full facial prosthetics on, and one of the little girls double. Um, she was a little bit, we kind of have to kind of slowly introduce her into it. So, I was in the makeup truck and we kind of introduced her because I'd been on set with her before, and she'd come in and said, "Hey, it's me," and I just started talking really casually and said, "Do you want to feel how it feels?" And, they're standing there with their big eyes like, wow. And she slowly got, and she kind of relaxed after that. So there was a bit of an introduction with the children. Yeah.
Now, so you've done stunts before this, obviously, but had you done a lot of the makeup yourself?
No, no, I'm not that experienced with prosthetics makeup. Like
Yeah.
makeup generally for film shoots or theater makeup, that's kind of to make you look pretty. And in this particular way, the silicone and what they made, like this, like I've never experienced that before. Like my makeup chair on a good day was 4 hours. I was often the first one in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot of coffees and a lot of music. Music kept me really straight because I had to stand pretty much. You come in at 4 a.m. and you have to stand in a
Right.
truck with the heaters on because you're in shorts and t-shirt. Because the character wasn't wearing much, just
Yeah.
pajamas, and you're getting fully tattooed and full, makeup sprayed on your legs, on your arms, and then your face. So um, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And I just had so much fun seeing my whole body transform into this creature, which
Yeah.
was a fascinating experience. And I never got enough of it. It was great. My feet were black for about a month, I think, because I just couldn't wash it all off.
Yeah, I was gonna ask from experience with other guests that it's harder to get the makeup off than it is getting it on, even though
Is
it's a
is
long time to get it on.
certainly true. Yeah, lots of ISO and lots of stuff. But after a while, it's just like, oh well, I'm having a shower. I am clean. My feet are still a bit black, and around the nails or around your fingers or
Yeah,
whatever.
still
Still,
now or no?
still now,
Oh,
yeah.
really? I have very limited, but I did do something with fake blood last year, and it took a long time just to get out of my hands
Oh
in my
really?
beard. Yeah,
What
we
did you
stopped.
do?
So I was in a. Well, I'm in a. This wasn't the movie, but I was because I was in a couple horror movies last year that are playing festivals right now. I was in
Cool.
a calendar that's out now. You've got red on you, so I think I'm Mr. November, and so they did took picture with all his blood on me, and I didn't realize. So I guess it. So I had all over my head, and it was a cool. But then I found the worst part was probably in the beard because it was very hard to get out of the beard. And then the hands, like they were all red. So we stopped at a little diner and I was in the bathroom trying to wash it off. And then I was just like, man, if anyone comes in here, I don't know what they'll think. But they
Yeah.
told me it
No,
was LA, no
things.
one will care. So I don't know.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. The blood's very, very sticky. Very, very
Yeah.
sticky.
Yeah. And
I
she
remember
told me
I
it
had.
was. Oh, go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I remember having it here, and it just got when you're like this, and you're sitting or whatever, and then you try to kind of stretch, it would just be peeling the layers of skin. It would just be stuck together.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that was probably the most uncomfortable little bit that was here. Yeah.
Yeah. And they told me it was flavored, like it was mint flavored, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's
Did
don't
you
go
taste
around eating it. I did taste it because it got in my mustache and stuff, but it wasn't very pleasant.
it? Nice.
So was there a so you said you got involved because of your background in stunts. So was there an audition though for Evil Dead Rise?
I attended a workshop, which was based around creature work. So, yeah, I guess it was a kind of an audition work thing, where we worked with the director, stunt coordinator, assistant, and we had also there was a couple of people from circus background because there's one
Interesting.
scene where she had the contortionist double as well who did absolutely amazing bodily work. Um, there was a lot of focus around that about the contortionist, and then the creature that goes into the chipper. It's called the Marauder. Um, the two people, Laura and Ed, were there as well, and we were testing stuff out in harnesses, and yeah, and I was just there for the stunts, but I joined into doing all the little creature work. We did little weird toes around the corner and crawling on mats. And coming out of a bath, that bath scene that's in there, that was in the workshop, to kind of crawl out of it as creepily as possible. And I guess they were happy and figured I was a good double. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it happened.
For those movements, were they like are they inspired by the other Evil Dead movies, or like how do you come up with those movements?
Well, we had a creature um, coach, I suppose. We had Hannah and Ariel, both very creature dancer, circusy background, and Lee, the director. He kind of, I think he was probably the mind behind it all. He was really specific and detailed with what he wanted to see. So he communicated that really well with us. And yeah, we kind of went from there, what it was like, the different crawling, the different dynamics. So sometimes the creature would be really slow, but then it would be really fast. So you get that it comes to life. And I think, and I mean, I don't know. Um, I mean, it's a deadite, right? So, and I think what Lee really wanted is to have the mother, Ellie, to have that real journey, that creature really coming to life in
Hmm.
stages. So we had prosthetic stages, and she had the physical stages. So during the rehearsals, we worked on stage number one. What is she like? She's herself. Stage number two, a little bit of a, a little bit of a twitch here and there. It's a little bit of a deadite in her, and then three, four, and we build it up like this. So we had it literally kind of written down. Yeah, the levels of severity.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
for those movements and things, and for the different levels, do you and Alyssa have to do a lot of like work together so you guys can, each have like similar movements?
Yeah, we did work together a lot. We were in the space together quite often, and it was fun because we didn't really know each other, and you kind of have to then just do all these really weird things, and figure these things out. So it was a fun way to get to know someone. We had a lot of fun, and because it was kind of really important because she was going to play the role, so she had to feel really comfortable and had to find her deadite kind of thing. And so I kind of facilitated that, I hope, in some ways, with the 2 weeks prior that we had been rehearsing what Lee wanted to see. So I had a bit of input in there, and then she had hers. So yeah, we had the rehearsal space with all the mirrors and the mats, and we would spend hours together working on toe movements, or the way she would walk, like she would have completely broken legs out of the elevator, and how would that translate, because she's still walking
Yeah.
miraculously, and how does that feel, how do we make that look real and not too much. It had to be kind of real. So yeah, it was really fun to work with her together. And then on set, I'd be kind of really watching her and how her body was moving, so I could copy that to at best of my ability, to make it really look one character. And I had so much fun doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you watch the like the first Evil Dead movies, the first trilogy and the series are much campier. And then
Mm.
the remake from like 10 years ago and Rise, well they have dark comedy in, but the tone isn't as comedic as those.
Mm.
So before you're on set and everything, did you think maybe I'm gonna play this more comedic, or so like what kind of direction did they give you just for like the tone of it?
We had no idea about. Well, I didn't really had an idea of how comedic it was
Yeah.
at the time. Um, Apart from that, I laughed a lot and loved what we were doing. But I guess we were really serious about playing
Yeah.
this
Well,
demon.
I do think the best horror
Deadeye.
comedies work as both a comedy and I think the horror has to work in a horror comedy for to work well.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, but
Uh,
you can't play comedy. You have to be,
right.
you
Yeah.
have to play real for it
Yeah.
to
Or
be
else it's
funny.
very
Play
bad
comedy,
usually. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess we were just so invested in creating what we were creating that we didn't think about that it had to look funny or whatever like that.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think the comedy in it really comes from the horror so much as the just
Mm.
probably more a weirdo like me, as my hat says.
I,
But
I think it's Lee, the director behind all that. I think his genius mind. Yeah, he had it all well thought out, I think.
Thomas Andrews, this coming up Facebook user here, but quick question from your experience from Evil Dead Rise, would you possibly work on more horror projects? And if so, what would you prefer to work on in the horror genre?
Yes, I would love to work on another horror. Because I really loved it. I think what I really like about it is well, I've experienced the creature side of things
Mm-hmm.
and the stunts. Um, I guess, I guess I would like to play a character as well as doing stunts. But what I like about it is, I mean, and any other horror is just the madness of it. You know, it's so mad. We don't get to experience that in real life, and I think that's what makes it such a special genre. Because where else can you dive into a world like that? So yeah, if I, anything, I think I'd love to play any kind of, whether it's a creature horror or a person who's going really through horror. It can be really real and realistic horror, and a real, a normal person going through terror. That could be really interesting to play. So, like Lily went through absolute terror, during the thing. She's, thought she was going to die anytime soon. So, that must also, I mean, she was exhausted, I'm sure, but it was fascinating to watch her work, and I love that as well. Yeah.
So I saw your short that you're working on, not on your Instagram. Now, is that horror related? Because there's some gross looking things in not.
um, yeah. Yes. There is. It's only mainly at the end at the moment, where there is some sort of horror involved, which is the umbilical cord, beautifully made by Laura.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah,
Aesthetics. So, yeah, it is kind of a psychological body horror, and I don't know if we planned it like that, but it just kind of turned out like that. That's definitely what it is. It's still in post production and still being finalized and everything. But that came out of a completely random collaboration, actually, that film, because we had another lockdown, and my friend Lydia was like, "Oh, should we do something?" And then her friend, who she'd been working with, photographing and photography and stuff, we just thought, oh, let's just shoot some little 5-minute videos. I want to act, I want to learn producing or play or whatever. You just get together and do stuff. And that was supposed to be just a 5-minute something. It turns out to be a 20-minute short film.
oh,
Um, and that kind of came just by talking about life and about, I mean, I was kind of rambling about experiences in life, and it's not really horror related, but about, we are as people tied to certain things, and we're tied in relationships or work or a living space or a country, or whatever situation you're in, you can feel really tied up, and we have the power ourselves to cut those cords. We think somebody else might be holding the tie, but it's us who have the ability to cut that, and that's kind of what the story is supposed to tell.
interesting. I actually do not have a belly button, which is very bizarre. But
You don't have one.
I do not. Yeah, there is actually a short film I'll send you later if you'd like about the loss
Please
of my
do.
belly button. Yeah.
Oh,
Um.
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, what are your plans to do with the short film? You going to go to festivals or?
Yep. Yep. Festivals. Yep. I'm still looking at the kind of the alternative festivals in Europe, because we've had a few previews here, and I don't think it's particularly for the New Zealand audience. And maybe some. Yeah, Europe. Europe would be a good one to have a look at, to go festivals. We'll try and do it here as well, just to see, the weird and wonderful films. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, film festivals.
Have you played other festivals before with anything you've worked on?
Yes, I have a
Well, I
little
guess Evil
one.
Dead Rise did play festival too, but like your own personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not my own work. I worked on this. short. I worked on two shorts actually in while I was in the UK, and we shot up north. I just can't remember the place the name of the place, with students, and that went. It was called one of them is called Home, and that was all about Brexit. So I played a Dutch woman, married to an English guy with children, and then Brexit was happening, and I couldn't stay, and it was all very dramatic. That played at festivals, and then there was another one, "Play Me, I'm Yours," who Dean then wrote, and that was about a piano player, a lady, and I was like a big orchestra leader or pianist, something very musical, and that went to film festivals, and that did really well. I had a supporting role in that. Yeah, but that's it. I haven't done many yet.
Yeah. No, I'm a big. That was the big thing I missed. Obviously, people had worse problems, but I missed going to the festivals during the pandemic.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
not only is it it's cool to watch stuff and or if you have a film there, but um there's a lot of interaction. I don't know, it's just a good time. It's good to watch stuff that you might not see anywhere else besides a festival.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. That's why the not will fit right in there.
Yeah, yeah. There's especially with short films because like besides maybe putting on YouTube or something, um where else does it go after that?
Yeah.
Especially to play on the big screen.
True. Yeah. It's a lovely opportunity to see yourself on a big screen. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was another big one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Tooth Fairy. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Forgot about that one.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
tried to. I saw that. I'm interested.
Tooth Fairy one.
Yeah. So, do you know if that's available anywhere?
No, I don't. There is a clip of that in my show reel. And that was a really fun shoot. And this was when I was training for Justice League. So I was so buff.
Well, it's good to show it
Yeah.
off then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was real fun. In a little dungeon in Brighton, we shot that. Yeah. I can check and see if I can find a copy of it.
Yeah. And for people not familiar, what is the Tooth Fairy about?
The Tooth Fairy. It's kind of an underground scene where two girls are kind of, yeah, I'm kind of the dealer of teeth. It's not a tooth fairy as your little children would tell about.
Yeah.
She's gothic, and yeah, it's a fantasy. It's beautiful. It's such. I think it did really well actually. Um, yeah, you have to watch it. It's lovely. I'm not going to say too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard to talk about a short without spoiling it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll check this out if it's out there for me
And
to
the
check out.
actresses in there were really, really good. They're
Hmm.
both. I think they both went on to do really big things. Yeah.
So, what made you want to pursue acting?
Okay. um. Well, I kind of had no choice. Well, I did, but my inner child,
Hmm.
my smaller, the T version of me, when I was younger, all I did was dressing up. I could not stop dressing up. My wardrobe would be all over my room, and I would change clothes about 5 times a day, and I would perform in any type of clothing. I would go into my mum's wardrobe as well and perform for her friends. And there was a comedian performer in the Netherlands, and she was called Tineke as well, Tineke Schouten. And I was mad about her. I loved her. And I seen her in shows, and I went, in the dressing room after and got her autograph. And I introduced myself that my name is Tineke, and then she wouldn't believe me. It was really funny. But she was so good in doing, types of people's stereotypes. She's very, very funny. And she takes the piss out of things so beautifully. And yeah, I guess as a child, I was copying her and doing all that. And when one of my mum's friends at some party, when I for the third time were in and out of the room, dressed up in certain ways and performed just randomly. And this friend went like, does she do anything with theater? And my mum was like, no, she just does these things, and she should go to theater. Like, okay. And I was about 8, I think. And then I got the chance to perform in an amateur production of Annie Get Your Gun when I was
Oh,
9
yeah.
in this amateur theater in the Netherlands in a little theater. And I played a little cowgirl, and we were singing, we were dancing, and I got a couple of lines. And all I remember at the end was that applause in the theater. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I'll never forget that moment. And then my dad took me to Cats and I've seen a couple of shows. And I was like, well, this is it. So I trained musical theater. Like I did all the jazz hands. I toured in shows and worked with a production company for a very long time as a choreographer and perform, dancing, singing, acting, all the triple threat basically. And then I was kind of a little bit tired of the jazz hands and the kids shows and that kind of stuff. And then I wanted to just focus more on drama and real and screen acting. And that's kind of when I kind of transitioned from theater to screen and really loved that journey. And it kind of helped me with, I don't know, my own psychological problems and therapy. And for me, acting was a way to express. Like I, as the child that was constantly dressing up in school, I was bullied and made myself so small that when I got home, I needed to express myself, I think. And this is why I got dressed up, being somebody else, and then blah, 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 do a whole performance. And then I got that out of my system. And I think that's how I coped with the not so good times that I had in school.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good story.
Mm.
And now, if the bullies see that, hey, she's in these movies and I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, too bad for them. I mean, yeah, it was painful, but now I can just forgive them. And they gave me the opportunity to play and act at home and find other ways to express. I don't know if I had would have found that otherwise. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think when I was 18, I went through a whole period where I'd never really expressed anger. And so I did boxing. So this is how I started boxing. You know, this is how I started that kind of training. The fighter started to come
Hmm.
out when I was 18 because I had the past that still was kind of possibly hanging around me or sitting on my back, my shoulders that I hadn't kind of dealt with. And boxing really, like Muay Thai, kickboxing, really helped to get that kind of out of my system. So yeah, to kind of, as an actor, you want to create or find all these colors inside of you and have all these drawers with all these different emotions that you can reach out to and feel. And yeah, I think probably my whole past has kind of prepared me for so many things. So yeah, I have lots of experiences to draw from, so to say.
Yeah. Now, from the Muay Thai kickboxing and from the stunt work, any injuries?
Not from those things, funnily enough. No, I have injuries from doing stupid things. That could be just going for a run and twist my ankle, or learning windsurfing in
Oh, okay.
Italy, just for fun because I
Yeah.
love it, and I got tired, and then I just fell over and hit really weird my knee and my foot, and I chipped a little piece of my ankle
Ouch.
bone,
Yeah.
um, which I only found out 5 months later when I finally went to see someone for it. Um, just carry on. No, I have never ever had. I think when I'm working is different because I know there's a lot of people involved and reliant, and I have a responsibility to deliver. And I think that's a big switch in my being that goes like, do not fuck it up now. There's money involved, there's people involved, and you have to do your best. And that mindset helps me. But when I'm out in my own day to day, I can do
Yeah.
silly things.
Yeah. No one's watching you windsurf. If you mess that up, you're only hurting
Oh,
yourself, which
yeah.
unfortunately you did. But yeah. Actually, do you have any advice for someone watching who a similar situation when you were younger, you were bullied, or or even if they're not young today, to try to help get past that.
Okay. Find ways to express yourself, because when you're going through such a time, however long that is, doesn't matter whether it's once or multiple times or multiple years, it's painful. And what helped me was somehow to transition or transform that pain into something fun for myself, to kind of gift back, to kind of replace, I think. And expressing, whether that's singing or dancing or drawing or painting, writing, going for a walk in nature. Like, nature is my go-to Buddha. I love being there and finding peace, But also, if you want to scream and something is pain, scream, just scream. I've multiple times sat in the car and just had to have a scream. And don't let the pain get stuck in your body and let it sit there, because it will turn into some form of unpleasantness that it's going to be harder to get rid of. So I think for me, with that, unpleasant experiences, trauma, whatever you want to call it, work with it and get rid of it as soon as you could possibly can, and find a way that works for you, whether that's a therapist or dancing or art therapy or writing, expressing, like, get it out of your system. Please do. Yeah.
So I assume the previous short we were talking about not has something to do with a lot of this. They're connected.
Yeah. Yeah. There is I guess there is a scene where she's sitting on a rock. So she's kind of, I don't want to say too much, but
Yeah, I understand.
she's there's a smaller version of her, of me, so to say. If I translate it to my own life, okay, I'm here, my adult version. There's a small version there, and if we don't stay in touch with that small version that's being hurt, or because you say to yourself, because I still say that to myself, just suck it up and fucking just go. What are you messing around? Just come on, don't be so close. Just come on. And when you say that to your little self, is you don't say that. You won't say that to your best friends or whatever it is. When there's unpleasantness involved, or pain or whatever it is, you've got to give it love. You got to give it love. And when you lose contact with your little self, with your inner child, in whatever way that is, you've got to find ways to it. And it's in the long run more painful to lose connection with that smaller version of yourself. So yeah, there is a part of that in the knot. Yeah.
Pepe Potit says your speech was very inspirational,
Thank you.
and also says he really likes your voice. It's very calming. And Scott Townsend, what would your dream role be?
Okay. Well, I have many, I think. I can't put it onto one because, like, when I was this little girl, I was playing all these roles. So I dreamt of playing all of them. It could be going from a detective, agent, undercover, a spy. I love to be a spy. To a diva queen, or a real bitch. I'd like to play a real bitch, because now I can really channel my anger really well, and I would love to bring that to screen sometime. What else? I don't know. I have a fascination about prisons. To play a prisoner. I don't know why. Maybe a past life following me. I'm not sure. I find it fascinating, when, yeah, prisons. Yeah, something action, badass action, Catwoman or something,
No, that's cool.
So,
Yeah.
was any range that's, I know, that's got some fire and and balls, and as a strong. I like to play a strong character, whatever she is, but with a side of incredible vulnerability, I think, and she can be any type of character. But I like a strong female character with a soft side.
Now, you wrote not. Was this the first script you wrote?
No, in London. It's so funny. Oh my god! And you're gonna watch that all now. I did a we did a web series called Down the Alley. Have you watched it or no?
No.
Okay. Well, you can just kind of go through these videos. It's funny. Um, that was my first experience with Cara and Peter, two other actors and writers, producers, beautiful people. And the three of us got this pub to use once a month. I think we did once a month for 2 days or something. It's the Eleanor Arms somewhere in London, and we got this whole pub to use to shoot stuff. So we were like really excited. So we made up all these characters, and then we played multiple characters. So I think each of us played 3 different characters, and they would all interact with each other. And that was my first experience writing and coming up with an idea, and that was really my childhood expressing myself. You know, that was the playground for me to do what I had done as a child, and a lot of it was improvised as well, but we kind of got the idea for it. Yeah, Flick and Jess, you know, it's just, and it's quite funny. It's very badly funny in ways. But we didn't care. Like,
Yeah.
we weren't aiming for the stars or Oscars, you know. We were just like, no, we're creators and we're going to have some fun. And, you know, it was just mainly probably my family and friends who watched it. And I've had a couple of random people say, oh, I really liked it. Or they were in stitches, you know, or some people were like, what? I don't really get it.
Yeah.
You got all these mixtures of reactions, which I love because you can never ever please everyone. So, yeah, that was my first experience. And I guess at the moment I'm trying to write my solo show, my solo theatre show. That's I've been wanting to do for so long. That's my on my bucket list to perform solo in theatre. So I'm slowly chipping away at that.
So, what would that be? What would be the solo show?
That would be a piece that I will be, and not, how do I say that? Okay. I guess I have certain life experiences, as we all have. And I think parts of it are so significant to me that I feel I could, and who knows, maybe I'm dreaming, that I hope to be able to inspire others and to make people feel different things in theatre. As I just love to be moved as an audience member. I love to be moved, and what I would like to do with this show is move people, but in all the ways. In all the ways, I want them to leave my show feeling completely different about things, and I want them to feel inspired to, I guess, to I don't know, if it could just be a tiny bit of a wink into their own life to find love for themselves somehow. And life is freaking messy, and it's so important that we love ourselves through all the things that we're going through. And I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be a drama or anything. But with that, I just want to use snippets of my own life that I think could be inspirational to people, and help them move on or move forwards, or they go in all of a sudden they would be like, oh, light bulb moment. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I've been doing. Or this is what I needed to hear. Or these kind of little things. I don't want to be a Buddha or a guru or tell people how to live. But yeah, I just wanted to be an engaging thing. Like even the comedian Tineke Robson, who I loved and adored as a kid, even for her in her comedy were bits and pieces that you will recognize from your own life. You know, everybody can fit that in somewhere.
Yeah.
And I love that about the media of art and storytelling is, you know, a book can really move you, but I want to perform that book. I want to entertain and bring that to life in different ways. And yeah, I'm breaking my brain as over how I'm going to shape the show, and it will be some dance and singing and whatnot, and musical and things. But I really want it to be for every single person in the audience.
Interesting. Now, along those lines, are you familiar with the movie A Bronx Tale? It's a gangster movie with Chaz Palminteri, Robert De Niro. The reason why I asked that is it was originally a one man play where he played all the roles, and it's like his story. And so that was like back in the early '80s when he did the one man play, and then he brought it back last year and did a couple shows. And Annabelle and I saw it in Boston. And the idea of one guy playing all the roles, like telling his story, it seems like that's a lot to do, but it was one of the coolest things we saw.
Oh, cool. Well, I have to watch it now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, the movie version, it's actors playing all the roles, but his original
Okay.
stage play, it's just one man show doing everything. It's very interesting.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it sounds great.
Just him in a chair, and but yeah, a lot of your imagination is filling in everything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool. Awesome.
So do you still sing? I said you sing, you want to sing in this, and
Yeah, I do. Well, I hadn't hadn't been singing for a while,
hmm
on and off. But actually, my darling friend Carly, she got me up to sing with her a song at open mic night here in our little village. And so we sang, and yeah, it had been a while since I'd had a microphone in front of me and sang in front of people like that. And yeah, I was really, really nervous. But then once I'd done it, I was like, oh, I've done this a million times. I can do this. But it was funny because things have taken a while. Like I've just started dancing again after 15 years as well. And yeah, you do lose your confidence. So I'm just slowly picking that back up, and yeah, I am preparing a few songs for the next open mic night at the end of this month. So yeah.
that's very. What are some of your favorite musicals or music theater?
Oh, musicals. I love Chicago. That would be one that I would love to play. Um, when I was in New York, I saw so many. I loved watching Wicked. It was amazing. Legally Blonde was hilarious. These are all Broadway
Yeah.
shows. Recently went to see Hamilton here at the Spark Arena in Auckland, and I loved it. It was great. I had seen the version on Disney with Lin-Manuel himself, and yeah, now seeing it real life. I mean, oh, their voices it was amazing. The set, the everything. It was just, yeah, it was a real treat. So I loved that as well. Um, I loved playing Alice in Wonderland when I was 16 or 15 or 16. And I played Alice. It was one of my real favorite ones as a teenager. Oh gosh, I mean, you know, all the, you know, Fame, Grease, Cinderella, you know, Miss Saigon, Lion King. There's so much. I mean, my repertoire that I have on my computer is just endless, you know.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I was just gonna mention. I'm a big fan of Sweeney Todd, and so when I was in
Really
London, I went.
hard, yeah.
Yeah, I had to go to Fleet Street, and we had meat pies on Fleet Street. 'Cause
Oh,
it
cool.
seemed like the thing to do. There was also a barber shop there, but
Oh, did you go?
no, it probably wouldn't have done me too much good. I guess maybe I could have got my beard trimmed or something.
Nice. How often do you shave it?
So I have this little a little hand shaver, and it's electric, and so I can just buzz it even if I'm just at the
Uh,
computer. It's very handy. Used to do it with a razor, and that's very time consuming.
yeah, I thought about doing that for the short film, and because I shaved it off.
Hmm.
for the film. They're not. I had long hair, and I thought about doing it with the shaver as well. But then I watched all these tutorials on YouTube, and it looked quite dangerous. Actually, I was like,
Right.
let's just
Oh
not
well, yeah.
try.
Well, the hand shaver, like it's like this. It just fits in your palm, and you can just go around, and it can do
Okay.
wet or dry. But you have to have it pretty much buzzed down to do that.
Yeah.
But to do when I first did it, actually, first time I buzzed my hair was during the pandemic, and it was like hair clippers, and I did it real short, and then I started doing that ever since.
Nice. Feels
Yeah.
good, eh?
Yeah, it's much. I'm a little cold at the moment, so my head gets colder easy. But it's also nice when it's. Also, it's easy when I get up. I don't have to do anything. I can just take a
Yeah.
shower and get moving.
Yeah, nice. You have to look after your beard now, by the look of it.
Yeah, we got I've got this wooden.
Oh, lovely. Look at that. That's so, oh,
I
lovely.
do try to curl it sometimes, but I need like some wax or something.
Yeah. Oh, great. I think that'll suit you really well. I think you should go long.
Yeah, that's why I shaved the sides here to try to grow that out to twirl it. But
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
a little bit of work, but I like it too. I'm glad
Nice.
that you approve.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So our since the Lord, maybe it's a stupid question because I'm not from there, but since Lord of the Rings, like, and they made all so much stuff there, had did that really grow like the film community in New Zealand,
Um,
or was there
I don't,
always one there? I don't know.
when I wasn't here when the first Lord of the Rings was filmed.
Oh, okay.
So no, I don't think I was. Um, so I don't, I can't really compare
Yeah,
then
because
to
I have
now.
had guests on that were from some the movie Dead Alive, which is a old Peter Jackson horror movie he made in the '80s, and he mentioned that once the Lord of the Rings movie, he joked that like everyone in film is like under contract to Peter Jackson in New Zealand, but he just said like it did change the there's more people employed to work in
Mm.
films now.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is a decent amount of people working in film, definitely. I mean, I don't know what it was before, so
Right.
I'm not sure if it's more or less. I mean, obviously we had the series then started to film here, the Lord of the Rings series, and then that kind of got moved to the UK. So that had a loads of people were involved and employed then. And I guess when that kind of fell through, okay, I guess that was a bit of a ouch. That's leaving. But yeah, I'm not sure. But then at the same time, studio space was opened up for other productions. So everything I'm sure will have it finds its way in the universe to be perfect as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw on your IMDb coming up as The Devil You Know, if you can talk about that.
That's a film that Johanna, she's my dear sister, soul sister, who lives in Ireland. She's an amazing actress as well, Johanna Thea. Um, yeah, we're still writing that actually. So that yeah, psychological thriller, and this is completely her idea. And she had this idea for a while, and she's like, "I want you to play this role," and da 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 da. And then we thought about, "Oh, but you're in New Zealand, and I'm here," and blah blah blah. Um, and that script is getting a revamp as we speak. So we're still working on this. We're going to work closer together to talk through the script as well. Because writing a script, I mean, gosh, I mean, writers obviously do it all the time, but it's a hard job. Like, that's a different talent. Like, I have a lot of respect for writers to just be able to, write a script. Like, he's saying this, and then he's saying that, and then he's like, amazing. I much rather improvise. But yeah, we're going to work closely together and see if we can shape that up and then get the funding for it and shoot either there or here or yeah. But yeah, that's a little project that's in the pipeline. Yeah.
I'm interested. And so since you said it's hard, but you're doing more writing, is that something you would like to do more of?
Don't know.
You could
I don't.
write yourself as a spy and
Yeah.
and some of the characters you'd like to play.
If I could, I think
Uh-huh.
right now I don't have the confidence to do that at all. I don't think. But who knows? Who knows? I don't think I have really tried it yet. I don't think I've really actually sat down and like, okay, what I just haven't done the thing where A says this, B says this, or this character, da 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 da. I've written like stories,
Mm.
like a treatment or a summary, or this is what happens in the story. So ideally, I would work with a writer, I think, to put that into words and to like actually to write dialogue, like good dialogue. Ah, that would be so yummy, to write real good dialogue. I'd love to be able to. So maybe I just need to find a co-pilot and do it with someone.
Yeah. Well, I'm just sorry there are technical difficulties, but we're all set here. So, what are you working on currently, or do you have anything that you're working on currently?
Um, I'm currently, well, I'm doing some stunts on a series, which I'm not going
Oh,
to
all
talk
right.
about.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yep, I'm doing some stunts. These last week, this week, next week. Yeah, just little things which are really fun. And no, I like the endless life of a performing artist is to find freelance work. And so on the side, I am studying accounting.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, being a little nerd.
Yeah.
But
You
I
can
feel
you can
I
do my
just,
taxes and yeah.
yeah, can do. I just want to know how this works because nobody knows. And I think it'd be really important for me to understand. I mean, I've done my tax return my whole life myself, but
Yeah. Yeah.
when certain questions were there with the IRD here in New Zealand, I was like, I'm not so sure about this. So I was like, well, the only way to find out is to study it myself and then know, and then I can say, well, this is how it works. So, and my God, if you ask an accountant, can you help me? Well, I have this question. They say, yeah, yeah, just pay us this amount of money, which is
Right.
always
We'll just do it
heaps,
for you. Yeah.
and then we'll have a look for you. So you don't even know whether you're going to get your answers or not. So I'm in the process of finding myself someone who can give me the answers without having to pay $400 an hour.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I'm studying that online in my own pace, so that goes really well with everything else. And then I am working at this amazing, lovely coffee
Zenden.
shop,
Oh.
bookshop cafe. I've recently started working there. Like I did a whole summer of diving. Just got to my dive masters, and then winter kicks in, and I'm way too cold to go diving. And yeah, this cafe bookshop comes up. My friends have just started it last month, and who knew I could make coffees? Apparently, I can. So I'm really enjoying. It's a very, just such a nice space. It's very zen. It's very mindfulness. All about the mindfulness books are on the shelf. You can sit there, have your coffee, read a book from the shelf. If you like it, you can buy it. If not, you could put it back on the shelf. Delicious teas, coffees, chais,
I'm double
cacaos.
drink. I actually have some tea in this, hot tea in this, and hot coffee in this. I keep them in thermoses because I like them very hot throughout. I
Yeah,
like to
very
keep
good,
very
very
hot.
good.
How do you drink your coffee?
I have it often in an oat flat white.
I
That's
mine
my
mine's black. I just drink it black.
black.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's too strong for me if it's black.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I stopped eating sugar and I changed how I ate and everything. And so it took a little while to get used to black coffee. But once I did, now if I have it any other way, I'm just like I don't. It doesn't taste right anymore. So
No,
and it's
right.
kind of like I used to think like people who like wine and they say it's got hints of this and that, and so you'd
Mm.
see like the coffee beans has hints of toasted marshmallow, caramel, and I don't mean flavored, but the beans and I think oh that's a bunch of bullshit. But once you actually drink it black for a while, like oh yeah, I can tell the differences in the different
Yeah,
coffees.
yeah, I bet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. Yeah. No, I'm being spoiled now with organic coffee.
Yeah, yeah. I grind. No, I'm sure everyone cares about all the coffee, but I grind my coffee per cup, and then I make mine in a French press. I'm kind of a coffee snob. But yeah.
Nice.
Scott Townsend represent,
Yeah.
and he also likes He likes his coffee like he likes his men, strong and black. That's very good. Action. Oh, he said, I don't know. Is he calling you? Oh, I'm sorry. Action packed nerd. I think that's a fair.
Yeah, I guess that's quite accurate.
Yeah,
I'll take that. Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's good.
I like
So
it.
I did also want to ask because it's the scene that was used in. I think it's kind of the first scene everyone saw is in the bathtub scene. I think it's what caused everyone like, wow, this looks really cool. So how long did it take to film the bathroom scene? And you sent me some cool pictures actually in and out of a makeup from that.
Yes. It was such a fun time to be in the bath. I had some time in the bath as well, just in swimmers, while the camera was on the actors. I just got to thrash around. Um, yeah, the bathroom. I did a couple of things in there. I mean, the underwater bit, the thrashing. That's me. While they had little windows in the bath, that the camera was on the outside looking in. That was really cool. And then I guess the stunt for me to go up Scorpio, up to the ceiling, we tried a few different ways in the rig to see what worked, and I got bashed around really well before we had decided on the kind of a nicer way to end up in that
Uh huh.
position. Um,
Here I've got a
and
picture here.
yeah, that was after this is after she turned around. So this was for Alyssa to put her in that rig. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's this lovely photo shot by one of the crew,
oh, okay.
as you can see, because I'm not supposed to be able to look in the mirror because
Right,
I'm looking
right.
the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And then one day, where I'm in the bath, but there's all these hoses are in the bath, so it's very uncomfortable to lie in because you can't really, because you've got all these tubes sticking up because there were little fountains that were about to explode while I would be flying into the ceiling. Um, yeah, finding my way in there was really challenging and lots of fun. I love a good challenge. And then the water, it's really wet, and it was on bare feet, bare hands. So I would slide, or the director wanted me to stick myself to the ceiling and my hands there, and that was it. Like
I know exactly
stick.
what the scene you're saying now. Yeah.
So the first, I mean, third take, I got it, but the first two takes, I kept slipping.
Uh
I
huh.
got I got in position and then wobbled, and then we put sticky tape on the tiles, really dry it off. Props guys were drying it to the best they could, and put sticky tape so when I would fly up, I could just stick myself to the tiles, and that really helped. That was a really really fun one to do. I loved that one. That was I think that was probably what needed a lot of focus because
Mhm.
I had to stick it there, and I had to, I don't have control over the flying, but the stunt team has. And yeah, I think apart from all the elevator stuff, I think that was one of the stunts where I felt really connected with the stunt team who were behind, watching me on the monitor and doing the countdown. And, I would never ever say I'm ready until I'm 100% sure I'm ready because I just want to do it well. I don't want to say, yeah, 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 I'll do it. No, no, no. I wait till my mind is at the right point in time for me to just do it. And, and I don't know if I don't know if I've taken for ages, but sometimes I would just be there and like, okay, and imagining myself doing the sticking constantly, constantly. And then I would go, okay, set, and then they'd pull me, and because they had to pull me at a certain pace and a certain height, too far in, my butt would be too up to the ceiling, which would not look good, and too slow wouldn't help me because my body needed to go straight there for me to be able to stick myself there. So anyway, it was all these things involved, and I just love that. That was so cool. That was a real team. I mean, everything was teamwork, but I really enjoyed that because they were miles away pulling the ropes because there was a crane through that hole. The ropes were going, 20, 30 meters down to the crane thing where they were then pulling the rope. So, you got all the RTs going and there's slight delays, and yeah, that was really really fun. And there was another time where I think I'm just doing the hands, the finger ones, and I'm lying in the bath, and then there is a hole through the wall, completely different set, and we'd have so much fun where I would be lying just waiting, and all of a sudden the crew were just setting up, and I would just sit there tilling, and then all of a sudden I pretend my legs got pulled, and I went like, and I got pulled away, and cracking up laughing and doing all these stupid things while waiting around because it was just there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of time for play, which I think is important. But when it gets to now, it's time to focus and shoot. You got to be ready to shoot. No faffing around then. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about the elevator scene then? Can you walk us through that? I guess.
Yeah. I spent it. I think the first 2 weeks. So when we started the whole rehearsals, it was just me rehearsing in the elevator for 2 weeks straight before cast even came over from the States, Australia, and stuff like this. So it was awesome to really get to know your stunt team, to get to know like Bronson, the guy who was always pulling me. He was the other side of me for me to be able to do anything, and then there was all the assistants, and I got to learn a lot about ropes and knots and pulleys and carabiners, and the elevator, because Alyssa had to do quite a lot in the elevator, so we had to make like slightly softer, easier version for her so she wouldn't hurt herself, and then my version. So we played between these things, and we had lots of mats. It was just a wooden box for us, and we tried to kind of make a bit of a roof or this or that, and then because you got to figure out how hard can they pull and what's the right tension to put on these things. So yeah, lots of days in the harness being smashed around, but I got my back pad and helmets on, and I was fine. And then I remember one day it was probably shooting towards the end where I don't know who came up with the idea exactly, but it was an idea to have Ellie, the character, go in the elevator, go up, down, up, down, up, down, like absolutely smashed around.
Uh,
So I was like, okay. I had quite a busy day on set filming, and then had to go and rehearse that, and then back to set for filming. It was a very funny day. And surely they put me in, helmet on, this on, beard up, looking as white as a ghost from the makeup, and looking at this, how we could do this. But because of also because it's an elevator, like my legs weren't really doing what the force would then potentially do because of the gravity of my body. But we tried it out, and I got smashed through the roof really well. That was a really fun day, and we tried it like it went up, down, and there was no recovery. And I remember because when they would pull, there's a certain height that they pull you to, but because you've got
sorry.
bless you,
There
you've
you
got momentum going. So by the time I hit the roof, I have that momentum, so I went through the roof quite a few times. So I said, well, you can pull me up here, and I will probably do the last bit myself, these kind of things. So we had to lower the pressure of that. And that never made it into the movie, but it was hilarious. I don't think I've giggled inside myself so much that I was doing that. But my legs wouldn't, because I tried to then hold my, kind of make the bottom of my feet hit the ceiling first, so I didn't smack fully in. Anyway, it was it was a real fun one. And the other ones, get Alyssa in there, and then rehearsing it with her. But she had a great time. She loved it. She was like, "Oh, it's fine," She was tough as. She could easily handle all the things.
Yeah.
It was really really fun, and we had a lot of giggles. Yeah.
So when was the first time you saw the finished movie?
The someday, end of April, 25th of April or something. We had a cast and crew screening in Newmarket in this big cinema, and amazing chairs there. It's probably the first time I was just like recliner. You just like your
Yeah,
feet
yeah.
up, super chill. Yeah, we were there with mostly crew. Big screen, and the sound before it started, we were just like looking at each other like, oh my god, we're in for a ride. Um, yeah, it was fun to watch it with the crew, and yeah, I think we were all well impressed. Yeah, of what it was. It's so beautifully shot. I think the
Oh
camera
yeah.
work is really well done, the cinematography, and yeah, how it's been cut together. Like I found it the whole time really engaging, but also for me to look like, oh my god, I spent 4 months of my life on that set. Like I know all the little bits and pieces. I know the props. I know this. I know that. And there's some things that didn't make it in there. I was like, oh, there's this corner in the house that was just so beautiful because set design made this look so real. Like I would have bought that apartment, I would just put it on land somewhere, and I don't know, I could have totally lived in it. It was so beautifully made. The detail, everything was so real. And yeah, I loved seeing it then actually on this massive screen where we had all worked as a team. It was a real fun team to be part of, like a big machine. And we had all created that. And that was, yeah, I thought that was really beautiful. I think we were all really, really proud.
Yeah. And then did you get to see it with an audience? To see it like obviously you watched with cast and crew, but did you see it with an audience at some point too to get like their reaction?
Yeah, I was able to. So I live in this little village an hour north from Auckland, and there's a little cinema here, and it's mainly kind of the general movies that are in the cinema,
Hmm.
nothing too outspoken. And I know the manager there, and I said, "Hey, I am the stunt double of this, of
Uh-huh.
this actress in this movie, and I know it's a horror. It's not really for the audience, and here in this little village. But would you be keen to screen it once for my friends here, for the locals?"
Hmm.
And he was like, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." So they were emailing with Universal, and sure enough, because I was like, I'll rent the cinema myself, and then I'll get everyone to chip in or something, $15, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then just so many people were interested because I posted it on the local group, and I was like, I might need the bigger cinema. What would that cost? And would it be possible to get it to public as well? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because this is a one-off. It's kind of a different arrangement. Blah blah blah. Anyway, to and fro. And then it was like, yep, we're gonna do it in the big cinema. The first week, all your friends can get cheap tickets, and then afterwards we'll make it public. But by that time, there was only like 10 seats left for the public. So loads of locals came, and it was fun because the designer of hair and makeup, Vanessa, she lives not far from where I live. She's local, and the makeup artist as well, head of makeup department, and the designer overall. And then Verity came up, who did all the makeup and hair for Lily. And then we had Nell, who plays Cassie, the little girl. Her grandparents live in this area, so they came with 10 of them. Um, and then we had Tom, who I know was from props, second unit props. I loved working with him on this one particular scene where she makes the eggs, the omelette.
Hmm.
That's yeah, that's most of it is me smashing the eggs and the director wanting me to aim for certain corners. First egg there, second one, third egg there. And it was real fun. And Tom had to clean that all up and then do it. We had to do it again. So he came. So we had a couple of locals in, amongst all our friends. And I did a little presentation up front, and we had some drinks at the Vintry Bar. And yeah, it felt like a really nice, local, warm. I just felt like, oh, these people came. It just felt like I organized something and people actually came. It was great. And yeah, I think people, one guy, oh, bless him, he fell asleep. It was so funny. He hated it. He's like, "It's so boring. It was so boring." He sat there with his beer at the end. I love him. And he just was like, what is it all about? What, it's so boring. And so you have all these different reactions, and some were just like, Well, that was something, wasn't it? So, and my friend, she got this massive teddy bear, this a white teddy that she brought into the cinema. Leo, we'd call it. And she said, maybe I'll pass him around if anybody needs him. We had this banter before it started, and that was Mikey, and he fell asleep.
Might as well out him here on the show.
Yeah, I might as well just say it then. Yeah, he's
Sorry, Mikey,
lovely.
but yeah.
He does all the gardens here in the village, at the Matakana village, the market, and he's a great guy. But yeah, he was like, oh, it's boring.
And the teddy owner is Nick.
The teddy out is Nikki. Yeah.
Jay Bradbury says that you're badass. It sound like getting stick to the stealing and being bounced around in an elevator. So anyway, you're a badass from being bounced around in an elevator, is what he said.
Thank you.
But that was very cool to get to see it in the small village when everyone came out and supported the movie.
Yeah, and we had the reactions, and my friends who just, it was just great to see how they reacted, and so we had that. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And when the trailer started to play, and they show so much of the shower scene and stuff, I assume that had to be pretty exciting.
Say again?
When the trailer comes out and there's so much of the shower scene and the bathtub scene, I assume that had to be exciting to see that they used that so much in the trailers.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was in the trailer. Yeah, like two of the stunts. Well, that one was in it, and then the one where she flies across the lounge at her daughter. That was me as well, which was fun. Just run and jump kind of thing. On mats, and it was really cool. And I think I was surprised when seeing the trailer come out that there was all these things in it that I thought maybe would have been more excited to keep little secret for a little while.
Right. Yeah, it is the problem with trailers in general. Is nowadays they show so much of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you giving away, and what you're not giving away?
That's another thing I do like about going to festivals is a lot of times I go into the movies not knowing really anything about them. So, and if it's kind of hard, but if you can go into a movie without even seeing the trailer, I do think it's a better experience.
Yeah.
It's not always possible.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was like, wow, they put all this in the trailer. But surely they've saved all the other stuff for the film. So I was like, wow, the film must be really good if they already put this in the trailer. But yeah.
And people have really liked it, so it's very cool.
Yeah, I think it was well received. Yeah.
And how can people follow you to see what you're up to? And also, I have an idea, since you're just now getting into watching some more horror movies, if people had suggestions to send you for horror movies to watch.
Oh yes, that'd be great. Yes, send them
just
over.
Remember, she's you haven't seen a ton, so don't send anything like too crazy, I
think. Just send it over. I mean, Instagram is probably the easiest way to connect. Send me a message. Send me some movie suggestions. That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to watch some more gory stuff. But I think also, because with this one it was very funny. But I know for some people, like when it comes to thriller, combining with the building up and the tension and stuff like this is a bit harder to watch. So, and I quite like those thrillers as well. So I just put that out there.
Very good.
Not just the gory, but
Yeah, well, as long as it has that's a good thing about horror movies. Depends what mood I'm in, because I like. I mean, there's some really serious horror movies I like Rosemary's Baby or something, and then there's something really crazy like the Evil Dead movies that are fun to watch.
Yeah. No, I like to see a good variety of stuff, definitely, because it's all people's creation. I love it that art is endless. And we all have different opinions about it, and I love that about it. It's just there's never really a right or a wrong. It's just a way of, and weird and wonderful things can be amazing too.
Yeah. This has been very fun to talk with you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been great fun.
This. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll
Nasty
catch
Neil.
up. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I should have thought I don't know what's a cool T word for Tineke.
That would be Tara Tineke.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, my brother is
Terrible,
Terrible Troy,
terrible.
who's on the show, so I don't want to steal Terrible, but we'll think about it. We'll think.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Sounds
and
good.
Trista Robinson sometimes on the show is treacherous. I guess I have a few
Oh
ones
yeah,
already, but
treacherous, tremendous.
tremendous. That's a very nice one, but I don't know if it fits
Yeah,
in with. Yeah,
no.
people have tried to get Annabelle tries to get me to change nasty Neil because she says I'm not nasty, which I suppose is a nice thing to tell me. But she said go with sweet Neil, which sounds nice, but I don't think it really fits a horror movie show.
No, but maybe another word with an N
Right.
you
Yeah.
could
It's,
find.
my other
But no,
another friend suggested Necro Neil. I don't know.
Necroneal. Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. That does
Necro.
ring really well.
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about it. All right, and then
Okay.
if you watch some horror movies, we'll get your reactions to them next time.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, and let us know about Not, and we'll let people know where they can see it when it's available, festivals or wherever.
Yeah, will do. Definitely.
All right, so I'm gonna play
Awesome.
some music here from our music of the month, Timothy Fife, and thank you, Tineke.
Pleasure. Thank you,
Thank
Nasty
you,
Neil.
thank you very much. We'll be back here.
See ya. Thanks, guys.
My name is Kevin Kepi, and I am your nightmare mom. And you are watching Without Your Head.
Hey, and I'm back here once again. Big thank you to Tineke Robson. It was very fun to talk with her. I'm a big fan of Evil Dead Rise, and I'm wearing an old school Evil Dead shirt, which I did not mention on the interview, but I'm sure a lot of people noticed. But so coming up, we will have Sorrowseed on here in about 10 minutes. They were music of the month last month. This month is Timothy Fife, not to confuse everyone. So we will have a guest on here in about 8 minutes. Annabelle could not be on tonight, and nor could Troy, but I believe both will be back next week. So we're going to be talking to death metal. However you say it, metal, death metal, black metal. There's many different things. We'll be talking to Sorrowseed here momentarily. I want to let everyone know this Tuesday is their return of Tuesday Night Fright, which is, so we're going to show a horror movie. It'll be live. The horror movie will be live streamed right here on YouTube. You'll watch it with your eyeballs, listen to it with your ear holes, and then right after that, we will have a live video Q&A with the fine filmmakers of Senseless, the fine folks from Trash Arts all the way in England. So that's going to be a good time. Let's see here. I have the poster right here. Here we go. So that will be Senseless. Looking forward to that. It's not a senseless film. There's senseless acts within this film. Let's see here. If you want to help out the show, you can super chat here. I'll send you some stickers as a thank you. You can also Venmo to Headyverse. Helps cover the cost of doing the show. I don't have them here. Where are they? Oh. But anyway, I put in a little thing there. There's these really cool Universal Monster Tarot cards that we showed last week. And I thought I had them handy, but I think they're over there, and it's too far away for me to go grab. But you guys should check them out. Here we go. This is AJ Rita. Rest in peace to the Iron Sheik. Yeah, wrestling legend. The Iron Sheik passed away. So I've interviewed the Iron Sheik twice. The latest one was actually here on Without Your Head. It was about his documentary, which is a great documentary. That's a very interesting interview. And my original interview with the Iron Sheik for 2005 on In Your Head, my wrestling podcast. And at the time, it was our most views ever. And it was only one question. Iron Sheik, I've mentioned this many times when people, I joke about, if you get sick, you can hang up. Like, well, I hope I don't want to do that. But it did happen once, and that was the Iron Sheik hung up on me after one question. He took it the wrong way. And I was upset. It was like, wow, the Iron Sheik hung up. So I tried to call the Iron Sheik. He didn't answer that day. I called the next day to apologize, and he had no memory of it. But at that time, it was our most views ever on In Your Head. It actually got a lot of press. I think it's how a lot of people discovered the show. So it was pretty wild experience. But as a fan, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, do just think of the Iron Sheik of the last, 20 years when he was basically retired as a wrestler and was kind of this crazy personality. And all that's very entertaining. And honestly, he was smart to do that because it really prolonged his career. He continued to get booked places when he could no longer wrestle, but he was this, crazy character and entertaining character. So he had a whole new life after that from Howard Stern and for people who might not even knew him as a wrestler. The documentary goes into a lot of stuff, which I think on the surface you can see the Iron Sheik and think, oh, he's this wacky, crazy guy, but there's a lot of tragedy in the man's life that led to substance abuse, which was unfortunate. I believe he got himself, clean near the end of his life. But as a wrestler, in his prime, fantastic wrestler in amazing shape, has a great history. A lot of stuff about the Iron Sheik. Great, lack of a better term, the evil foreigner. I mean, that was the foreign menace was always part of wrestling for a century, and he played that in the '80s. He was the guy that transitioned the title from the All-American Bob Backlund to the boom period of Hulk Hogan, which completely different eras. Bob Backlund had the belt for many years in the '70s. All-American guy, late '70s, early '80s, and then lost it to Hulk Hogan, and then he lost it to Iron Sheik, and then went to Hulk Hogan. So rest in peace, the Iron Sheik. Two-time guest here on the show. We will be having Sorrowseed on here momentarily. I see some of the band have logged in, but I'll wait till everyone's here. Should be in about 2 minutes or so. Nun 2 is coming out, so people can check that out. There's they posted the first photos of the Nun 2. Those are online. You can check those out. I'm not a big fan of the first Nun, but a lot of people like it. So check that out when it's out. There's also Carmella Creeper, which this is the first ever female character in the Monster cereal line. And anyone knows me, I'm a big fan of the Monster cereal. As you can see behind me, we've got Boo Berry, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Yummy, Mummy back here, and Fruit Brute. So now I have to get a whole new one. We also have the cereal boxes back here, but I'm not really a big fan of the cereal itself, but I've always liked the iconography, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But yeah, I liked it so much, I made our own. So you can actually get these shirts. We've got Nastios, that's me. Dill pickle flavored frosted cereal with brain mallows. Who doesn't want that? Treacherous Treats, red licorice flavored frosted cereal with black cat mellows with Trista Robinson on the cover. Of course, the Terror Berries, which is Terrible Troy's elderberry flavored frosted cereal and severed limb mallows. The newest one, Annabelle Lecter's Crunch Bodies, which is sour berries. They turn your milk into blood. Friend of the show, the Bill Wheaties, the breakfast of necromancers. Backwoods Bobs, Backwoods Bites, their moonshine flavored frosted cereal with possum mallows. You got little marshmallows that are in the shapes of possums, and of course, for all the kids out there, moonshine flavored cereal. All right, I think we have the band on here. We get them on, but the last one here I'll show Greasy Flakes, pink grapefruit flavored frosted cereal with olive oil and mini sausages, and which turn your cereal into grease. So that is all part of a nutritious breakfast, and as you can see here, they contain no vitamins or minerals of any kind. All right, so let's see here. Let's get the band on here. Enough of my nonsense. Let's see here. I believe we have Sorrowseed on the line.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
I'm good.
Smokey! Smokey's joining the call.
Yeah,
Oh, very
here.
cool.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Hi, Smokey.
Oh, see, she's hiding now that she's on camera.
No. Cute.
What kind of bird is that?
She's a cockatiel, which is one of the smallest species of parrots.
It's very cute. Very cute. Smoky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can be a pirate.
Yeah, she's honestly very very chill, very mellow. Really doesn't make a whole lot of noise. She's I don't know. Got pretty lucky with her. She's not the type of bird that will start screaming at 6 a.m. and wake you up. She's actually very respectful waits until I'm awake and out of bed to start making noise. She's great.
Lilith, no pets on that end? Well, maybe you have pets, but they're not here with us at the moment.
Well, yeah, I'm traveling right now.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Smokey is our bird.
The traveling bird.
And we also have a snake, albino lavender corn snake named Snowflake.
Snowflake. That's a very cute name for a snake.
Yeah, we like I don't know, the elements. We've got Smokey and Snowflake.
I would bring Snowflake out to see you, but she is not chill. She is insane, and every time we take her out of the tank, she goes crazy and just wants to explore. So I would be wrestling her the entire time.
All right, fair enough. Now I set this up in my basement. Every once in a while, I'll have some mice run around back here, but they usually do not get on the show.
All right.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. In fact, I used to have it was like a prop from a movie, and it was up here. And one time I came down here, and I noticed the bag was still there, but there was a little bit of crumbs, and something got into it and ate what was ever in the bag out, which was very strange. But, so no more edible stuff down here.
Mm-hmm.
So Sorrowseed, for people who aren't aware, of course they'd be aware, but can you give them an idea of what your music is like? Which is a weird question, I think, to ask.
Yeah, that's always the hard one.
Yeah.
If we're trying to not have like 17 words in this description of a subgenre label, I generally call it somewhere between like melodic death metal and blackened death metal. Like people have compared us to like Behemoth, but with a little bit more kind of like melodic and gothic flavor.
It's sort of like movies. It's horror movies, and people are fighting over like what genre or something. It's always annoying to me. It's like, if you like it, you like it. It doesn't matter if it's
Same. I feel the same way, man. Like there's just so many different little fucking subgenres now, and people can be so nitpicky about it. And I'm just like, it's fucking heavy metal, okay?
If it's death metal or black, like, do you like it more or less if it's not considered, this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Some, the metal community in general has a reputation of being fairly elitist, which sucks because it's like, okay, we're already kind of like a cross section of humanity that is like sort of considered more on like the outside perimeter. We're all sort of like misfits and stuff. Like, why do you have to just try to go and like, be cliquey within such a small kind of subgenre anyway? So it can be really annoying, but yeah. So what he said, usually we're kind of like melodic death metal, simply put, but we have elements of doom, black, prog, and a little bit of goth flavor, I guess you could say too.
Now you mentioned you're traveling right now, so you guys are out on the West Coast now, but I saw you had a show recently in New England.
Yeah. So we just last weekend we were up in New England for the Livestock Camping Festival, which was a whole lot of fun. It's sort of a long running festival done by our friend Justin. And that was a super fun time, even though, typical New England kind of weather kicked in and it was pretty rainy and cold and stuff. But, we're hardy people, New Englanders, obviously. So that didn't stop, a bunch of people from coming out and having a great fucking time with us. So that was awesome. I'm still out in Boston at the moment. And Caden and the other guys are back in Vegas right now.
I'm on the Cape, so I'm on the.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What part?
A little town called Sandwich. I don't know if you know where that
Okay, yeah, of course I know Sandwich.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, usually I just say the Cape because usually, unless you're from the area, people are like, what the hell is that? Is that something you made up or something?
Oh, no, we're familiar. In fact, one of the Sorrowseed music videos was filmed in Yarmouth.
Partially. Oh, really?
Yeah, the video for Ocean Scorn. So I kind of had the concept for this video. This was I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 years ago now that we did this video. But at the time, I'd been traveling. I love to travel abroad, and I have this obsession with black sand beaches. So I found a couple out in Iceland, and I filmed some footage, and I was like, I really want to use this for a music video at some point. And then years later, when we started thinking about what song we could do for a music video, I was like, oh, if we do Ocean Scorn, I have some footage I could use for this. And then I had the idea of sort of juxtaposing it with sort of like close to like sort of a white sand beach sort of thing. And I'm wearing this like white dress in it, looking all like, haunting sea witch kind of vibes. And so yeah, we juxtaposed those two kind of extremes together, and turned out pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's on YouTube. Check it out, guys.
Yeah. So is there a difference between the West Coast and East Coast audiences when you're performing in front of them?
Well, I mean, yes and no. When you're performing in front of them, like in the moment, I wouldn't necessarily say there's a huge difference. I do think that in general, my experience has been that West Coast crowds are a little more open to, just like bands that they haven't heard before, whereas a lot of East Coast crowds tend to kind of have this thing where, like, if they're seeing a band they've never heard of before, it's like, all right, impress me,
Yeah, very standoffish.
And West Coast crowds are, I think, a little more ready to just sort of enjoy the music that's in front of them, without like kind of thinking too hard about it. But unfortunately, it's the scenes themselves are very different, and I think in general the scenes on the East Coast are kind of stronger and tighter knit, if for no other reason than the fact that like the cities are way closer together. Like out in California, you have to drive 2 hours to get from one major place to another, and so like it's a lot of really kind of disconnected and small scenes that are kind of just in their own little bubble, whereas on the East Coast there's a lot more overlap and a lot more people that are willing to like kind of go outside of their own little local area to go see shows and that sort of thing.
What was the decision to go to the West Coast?
I mean, it was sort of a kind of just like half quality of life, cost of living, and also just like sick of the fucking East Coast weather.
Yeah,
I can relate to that as I get older.
New England. It's like Lilith mentioned the livestock festival that we played just this past weekend. It was like classic New England bullshit. 3 days. In 3 days in a row before the festival, it was like 90 degrees. And then the day before the weekend started, it dropped 30 degrees and it was fucking rainy and cold all weekend.
30 degrees. Like, let that simmer for a second. 30 degrees in one fucking day. Just in time for us to roll up in and play an outdoor festival. So, it sucks so bad because we put so much work into our performances, and we've planned our own tours during spring and fall and stuff like that. We're smart enough not to mess with winter, but stupid enough to try to mess with the spring and the fall, because you can spend weeks and months promoting shows, but if you get some fucking weather bullshit, some tropical storm rolls through, or it starts snowing in March or something, like, that's it. Like, no one's coming to that fucking show, and you're probably not getting paid either. So it's been real nice out on the West Coast, not having to worry about any of that. It hardly even rains.
Like, the weather is way more consistent out here.
It's almost never going to be a situation where a show is going to get canceled because it was rained out or it was snowed out or something. So that's been really nice.
Even if the weather is not necessarily super nice at the time, it's consistent, and you usually know what it's going to do in advance, and it's not just going to like change 4 times a day. So that alone is nice.
Yeah, the last time I was out there, last 2 times it rained, and both times everyone out there, I was in LA, and they were just like, they went crazy because of the rain in LA.
Yeah.
I didn't.
People don't really know how to respond to it out there because it happens so infrequently, especially like LA gets a fair amount of rain, especially this time of year in the spring. But Vegas, for the most part, it rains like under 30 days a year. So it's pretty nice, I have to say. Like we just kind of forget about the fact that rain even exists a lot of the time. So coming back here, it's like, oh fuck, it's been I've been here for a week now and it's rained and been cold and shitty and just gross like almost every day since I've been back, and I'm just like pretty over it.
Yeah. And it's something funny too. Because I think most people just assume Boston's like open all night because it's a big city, but
Oh
there's
god,
like
no.
nothing open like at all at night.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like one of the first times that I came to Boston, like I had only been there a few times at that point. I got off the bus at South Station at like 8:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, and it took me 45 minutes to find a single open restaurant that I could get some food at in the middle of downtown Boston at 9 p.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah,
it was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm up in Boston almost every weekend, and after like there'll be a handful of things open, but really after like 11 or 12, there's like nothing open besides like IHOP. I think it's the only thing.
Yeah. I mean, even last call in some places in Boston is like 12:30, and the T stops running.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. It almost encourages like drunk driving or something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years. It's like, okay, well, especially you could at least run it later on the weekends. Like, but you're just totally encouraging people to drive drunk by not giving the option. So yeah, I don't know. Boston, I've never been super into Boston as a city or just a place to live. We lived in Providence for a while, and Providence was awesome. Like if I were to come back,
stuff's open way later in Providence. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's they've got like Insomnia Cookies and like sub shops open till like 4 a.m. We had like a little bodega around the corner from where we were at. We were just on Federal Hill. It was super nice, and everyone there is so chill, like so much more friendly and sort of tight knit than Bostonians. So we had a really good time when we were residing in Providence. So if we were ever to come back, like I would want to go back to like somewhere in Rhode Island. Rhode Island's great. So Boston, pretty overrated.
Yeah, we just my brother and I. There's I forget the name of it now. I wish I could remember it, but there's a new arcade there that opened in Providence recently. And the place is wild. They're not paying me anything, but $7 to get in, and then you can play all the old video games and pinball you want, all to like 2 or something. And
Dude,
then
that's cool.
Wow,
yeah,
we're gonna have to seek this place out.
Yeah,
so
really
I'll have
cool
to
place.
grab the name of that place for you afterwards at some point. That's awesome.
I highly recommend. I'm a big pinball guy, so I play a lot of pinball, so it was very fun.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. We as a band, we've played at MagFest a couple of times, and it's this big nerdy gaming festival with music and like 8-bit DJs and stuff like that. And they've got this 24/7 open arcade with all these free to play games, and their pinball selection is like pretty impressive. So we love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sounds.
Have you ever been out here to Vegas?
Not since I was it was like over 20 years ago. I was just say it was when I was 24, but people won't know how long ago it was. But yeah, it was a long time ago.
Well, because out here in Vegas we have the Pinball Hall of Fame.
I did not know that actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a really cool place. It's just a huge building, and it's got this massive selection. I think there's like 200 cabinets in there, just like massive selection of pinball games from, like as far back as you can imagine. They've got games from like the 40s and 50s, like all the way up to like the really modern ones with all kinds of crazy effects.
They make new ones too, because they had like the new Godzilla one and stuff. Yep. So it was cool. They had them separated. They had the newer ones at one place, and then like the classic ones in another place. And I guess they cycle them in and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's cool. So
yeah, if you ever get the chance, Pinball Hall of Fame is pretty sick. They've got some really, really old cabinets there, and
it's a fun place to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. So what are some of your favorite venues to perform at?
Well, speaking of Providence, our favorite place in New England to play is Dusk, like hands down. we always have a great time there, good vibes. Dusk is one of the only venues that we've sort of done business with that, the people who are there are straight shooters. There's no bullshit. Like, we always, it's always a very positive experience. There's nothing shady or weird about it, because some of the spots in Providence and some of the promoters down there can be a little wishy-washy. I mean, I think that's probably true in most cities, but yeah, so we love Dusk. We love the vibes there. It's like nice little intimate venue. We also love playing at Ralph's in Worcester. So Ralph's is probably like our second favorite venue in New England. And I don't know. As far as Vegas, we've played this place called Dive Bar a whole bunch. That was the first place we ever played on our one of our first tours, like way back when. And I don't know, it was like 2016 or something like that. And so we've got a little bit of a soft spot for Dive Bar. But another spot out in Vegas we really like is called Artifice. It's a little bit similar to Dusk vibes. It's got that like kind of gothic decor with the dark, black chandeliers and the cool artwork and stuff like that. So
There's also Backstage out here in Vegas, Backstage Bar and Billiards. That was the venue where the Apocalypse in the Desert Festival, which was at the end of this past March, took place. We played that festival, and that's a super cool venue. That one is it's a little bit bigger. It's sort of like a mid-level venue, bands that are like, well known and draw a crowd, but are not necessarily going to fill out like a giant theater or a stadium. Like Warbringer has played there, Allegiant has played there. Kind of like mid-level bands.
1349 was there too.
Yeah, so it's a really cool venue for like slightly bigger acts that are not like huge. We're probably not quite big enough to like headline a show there ourselves, but we got to play the festival that was there, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and another spot coming to mind, a couple of spots coming to mind. Brass Mug in Tampa. Love that venue. Shout outs to the Brass Mug. They have a amazing stage lighting setup. The staff is super cool, very friendly, and the metalheads down in Tampa are pretty legit. And also another spot that we liked a whole lot over in Portland was called the Lovecraft.
Oh yeah.
It was almost like sort of, I guess, their version of something like Dusk, only much more elaborate. Like, dude had a fucking coffin in the green room and all kinds of just sort of like Lovecraftian references. And
Lovecraft in Portland, Oregon is like the most bougie boutique dive bar you'll ever see in your life. It's really fucking cool. It's got the soul of a dive bar, but it's really ornate, and it's got like horror movie masks and memorabilia all over the walls. There's like
pentagrams, like,
and shit painted
all
on
over
the ceiling. It's fucking cool. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I've seen some reference to Lovecraft in some of your music, so I assume that's something you guys are into.
Yep. So that was like totally on our vibe. We love that spot. That was a good time. Also on the same tour that we was that the same one we played at the dive? Yeah, it was, right? Same.
And
tour.
also at Brass Mug.
Yeah.
I also got a shout out on the note of venues. I got a shout out Lucky 13 in Brooklyn. New York City is where I'm from. I was born and raised in Queens, and I've played at Lucky 13 like dozens of times with both Sorrowseed and my other band, and that place is always super solid. Just classic metal dive bar with a stage in the back. Not a huge venue, but always good vibes. We always have a great time at Lucky's. We played there back in March as part of our like late winter tour.
So you're from I was gonna say you're from New York. So how did the band get together? How did you form?
Yeah, so that is it's actually a very kind of interesting and serendipitous story, which was basically that when I was in college, the first metal band that I was ever in, I joined this band and I was in it from for a couple of years, and so basically with this band I ended up playing a show at this little, honestly kind of shitty bar in Astoria, which is the neighborhood in Queens that I'm born and raised in, called Gussie's. I ended up playing a show with this band, the first metal band I was ever in, and on this bill was a band called Sorrowseed, which I'd never heard of, and another band called Spectral Voices, which was a local New York City band that I had heard of and that I already really liked. So my band played a show with both of these bands. I did watch Sorrowseed's set that night, but I didn't end up talking to any of them afterwards. They were on tour at the time. But I did end up talking to the guys in Spectral Voices, who was the New York City band, a local band. And so fast forward a couple of years, I actually ended up joining Spectral Voices. I'm still in that band now. We did change our name a few years ago, so we're called Solemn Vision now. But I ended up joining this band after having played this show sort of randomly with them. And then after I'd been in Solemn Vision for maybe like 2 years or 3 years, a friend of ours who was a promoter hit us up and said, hey, this band Sorrowseed from Boston is coming on tour. They're going to come through New York. I think you guys played with them a few years ago. Do you want to hop on this show that I'm putting together for them? And we said, absolutely. Sorrowseed was fucking sick. Let's do it. And so I ended up playing with Sorrowseed again as part of a different band this time. And that night, me and the other guys in Solemn Vision ended up talking to Lilith and some of the guys who were in Sorrowseed at the time. And we all just kind of hit it off and became friends pretty quickly. And so we stayed in touch and we're hanging out a whole bunch. And then eventually Sorrowseed decided they wanted to go on tour. This was in 2017 and hit us up about going on tour with them. So we started to get this whole thing in motion. And what ended up happening is kind of right before this tour, or it was like 2 months for some of them and then like 3 weeks for others. Like a bunch of the members of Sorrowseed, former members of Sorrowseed now, quit like shortly before this tour was supposed to happen, which was really screwing us.
They all basically decided that they didn't want to be in a touring band at that point. They were like, for whatever reasons, some of them were too busy, some of them just didn't like touring, so they basically were going to like leave me high and dry.
Yeah, it was Lilith and it was Morte, who used to be in the band, who was one of the founding members. Those two were the only ones left. And so basically what we ended up doing in order to not cancel the tour was me and Anthony and Carlos, who are the bassist and drummer for my other band, Solemn Vision. We basically learned the entire Sorrowseed set and we did double duty for that entire tour. So 3 of us from Solemn Vision played as members of Sorrowseed for every single date on that tour. And eventually, when I ended up moving out of New York and moving up to Boston, it was like it just sort of made sense for me to join Sorrowseed full time as well, because I already knew how to play all the music and there were openings in the band's lineup that needed to be filled. So it's just sort of an interesting series of events where like the very first metal band I was ever in ended up playing a show with both of the bands that I would later go on to join years in the future.
Yeah. So needless to say, like we're all pretty tight. We've definitely put together more shows together periodically, and we're hoping to plan another tour again sometime soon, possibly later this year.
Who writes the music and who writes the lyrics? Or I don't know, maybe the same person.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, pretty much all of the music that is out there on the internet for people to hear from Sorrowseed. Smokey just pooped on me. That's cool.
I believe it's our first live pooping on the show. At least as far as I know. I don't know.
Part of the realities of having a pet bird. Crazy.
I could take over for a second. So Morte wrote the first 3 albums worth of stuff, and he had actually approached me as the singer. The band had already formed, so Sorrowseed was looking for a singer at the time. And so when I joined the band, the first 2 albums were already like completely written, which was kind of a cool sort of shortcut for me, because it was like, hey, these songs are ready to go. We just need a vocalist. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so that's exactly what we did. I jumped in, started recording right away. And shortly thereafter, we started playing shows. And then the third album, which is called Nemesis Engine, had room for contributions on it. So I wrote the lyrics for 2 of those songs, and Caden wrote some solos on some of those songs. But when Morte was in the band, he really preferred to have most of the creative control because it was his project to begin with. It was kind of his baby. So we were all like cool with that. But now that we have a new lineup, it's we're all going to be contributing in for the new stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting circumstance we're in right now because pretty much all the music that's available for people to listen to by Sorrowseed, that was all written by Morte, who's no longer in the band. So it's a little bit strange because, you know, the music that we play at shows is all stuff that, like, largely speaking, we didn't write, you know? And we've kind of, since it's really just, you know, just me and Lilith, it's been just me and Lilith for a long time, and we're only recently starting to, like, you know, jam with some new people to fill out the lineup. So, you know, given that I am the only instrumentalist in the band and have been for a while, it's pretty much kind of just me who's been writing new music. But together, Lilith and I have been sort of just trying to decide like what direction we really want to take the sound in now, because like Lilith said before, previously Morte was sort of the one who just wrote all the music because it was kind of his, you know, his creative project. But now that he's no longer in the band and he is, you know, given us his permission to like continue on and do whatever we want with it, we sort of have the freedom to take it wherever we want to. So we've kind of been trying to figure out exactly what direction we want to take the band musically at this point.
We do have a new keyboardist though, and he's already added some really cool like gothic sounding stuff to it. So I think we're probably going to continue to go a little bit more in a like melodic symphonic sort of direction. It's been really fun working with him. We haven't quite made an announcement yet, but he did play the last festival in Vegas with us, and we're about to go on tour with him when we resume the rest of our tour dates starting next week. And he has sort of scouted out a drummer and another guitar player for us. So once we're done with the upcoming tour dates, we're gonna start jamming with these guys, and we're pretty excited about it.
That's pretty cool. So, you know, the sound you guys are talking about, you know, you guys will get together, what kind of sound, but what kind of like, when you're writing, if you're going to write new lyrics, like what kind of stuff would you draw from? Because I mentioned earlier, like there's some Lovecraft stuff in there. There's like some D&D stuff, like liches and stuff. So I don't know, what kind of like themes would you go for?
Yeah, so we have when I've done writing for other projects on my own, I do sometimes pull kind of like nerdy kind of stuff like that.
I'm for it. Yeah, I'm an old
you
school
know,
Dungeons and Dragons kid.
I played EverQuest for a really long time, so I have some lyrical themes that sort of draw from some EverQuest references. That's kind of the nerdy side, but I also just like to draw from kind of like, you know, the dark and morbid side as well. Like I have to kind of stop myself from just writing complete gore like a lot, because I'm just like, okay, I could be, especially with the kind of lyrical content that Morte brought to the band, it would be super weird to go from that sort of like eloquent style of fantasy writing into just like, I'm gonna murder your face.
Right.
I'm gonna stab you a whole bunch of times. So, but that's always, I've always written very, you know, aggressive kind of music. So I'm sort of trying to find a balance between you know, aggressive and poetic.
Yeah, Morte's lyrics were very poetic and very verbose. You know, a lot of, you know, he had a really big desire to like tell stories with the songs he was writing. You know, all 3 of the albums that we have out there to listen to, those are the ones that he wrote, and they're all concept albums. Every single one of them has a story to tell. So he was really big on like, you know, using the lyrics to tell a story.
Yeah, he had like a central character on each album. And so I've sort of thought about having a central character just to kind of keep with the theme, but I'm not really sure like what I want the character to be yet. So sort of just fleshing out what I or we want that to be. I'm really kind of looking forward to having it be more of a group process and have everybody can have some input because obviously like playing somebody else's music all the time, like it takes away a certain creative aspect to it. And I think that's why in the past we had a lot of kind of people come and go from the band because they would join and be cool with it because we were playing shows and we had recorded albums and stuff, but then they would get kind of like unhappy when they weren't really able to contribute like too much. So
John Kelly, I have to ask, is that I'm not sure what this is, Umbrian onesie?
it is. I didn't think anyone was going to recognize that, but yep, sure is.
I don't know what Umbrian is. I feel like
It's like one of the dark Pokemon.
Oh, okay. I'm a kind of a nerdy guy, but I've never played. I'm not against it. I'm probably just too old when it came.
You hang out with Lilith for long enough, and you'll eventually discover that about 40% of her wardrobe is onesies.
Yeah. Oh well, no, the ones I'm cool with the onesie. I do like that it's you're talking about writing about murdering your face and also wearing a Pokemon onesie. I like the contrast. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So you mentioned touring, and you do have another tour coming up. Because the Kings of Metal West Coast tour.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's later this month. Super excited to we have played in the Bay Area before, but it's been many years. So I don't think we've ever played in either of the cities that we're hitting in California this time. So that's going to be really exciting. We did get the attention of someone who runs a booking agency as well, who is perhaps going to be attending one of those shows as well. So we're kind of like, cautiously optimistic about this potential partnership because I think it'll help elevate us a little bit more. We're really tired of booking our own tours. We've done it DIY pretty much up until this point because I don't know, there is something gratifying about doing it all yourself and putting it together, and it can be fun, but there's just so many variables. And when you put together a show on your own, like all the pieces kind of have to be there. And if like things happen, like, oh, suddenly the venue got changed or one of the locals dropped off or something, like you're kind of screwed for that show. But when you have a booking agent, like most likely they're going to only be booking from places that are like solid in with other groups that are solid. So we're ready to kind of,
everyone only has so much energy and stuff. So if you could focus that on your actual music and everything, it's just one less thing you'd have to,
Exactly. We're musicians. We're not booking agents. One of my least favorite things is like negotiating, with these venues, like our guarantees and our riders and stuff like that, expectations. Like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I just want to like come and fucking perform and play music and like bring the vibe and the energy to people. I don't like the business side of things too much. And I think in the past we were also kind of just trying to be a little bit frugal with it to save some money.
Right.
When you book your own shows, you're not having to pay anybody to book the show for you and stuff like that. But I think we're at the point now where we've done it enough times. We're done with that. We're happy to pay somebody a cut of whatever, because they're probably going to make sure that we get higher guarantees anyway. So
yeah, because it only benefits them too. So
yeah. So we're looking forward to hopefully sort of crossing that bridge pretty soon. And you're a Pokemon nerd, nice
dude. Yeah.
Who are your favorites?
I grew up playing Pokemon. I think Pokemon Yellow version was probably, if not the first, certainly one of the first video games I ever played at like age 6. Doing the whole DIY tour booking thing fucking sucks, man. It's so much work. And like if you're just doing a little kind of like weekend run where you're playing like 3 or 4 shows, it's like that's manageable. But if you ever want to tour at like a real professional level, like you can't do it DIY. It's way too much work when you're trying to manage, being an active member of the band and like all this other stuff. It's it's an incredible amount of work.
Yeah. Plus, you got to clean up bird poop off your shoulder.
Dude, so much bird poop. They poop so much.
Do you have any good road stories actually while you're traveling? Not so much flying, I guess. There's not too much road stories in flying, but
Road stories.
Well, immediately the first one that comes to mind for me that's
or bad road stories, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
a lot of them sit somewhere in between, to be honest, because tour life is tour life is you go back and forth between like it's awesome, God, it fucking sucks, I'm so tired all the time, I can't wait to go home, and then you play and it's like, this is so sick, like I wish I could do this forever.
Well,
and then you wake up the next morning and
if people are at the show,
sometimes you have duds and it's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? This sucks. And then you play a sick show and it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's always back and forth. So the road stories frequently sit somewhere in between. The first one that came to mind for me was when we were on tour in 2017. This was when Sorrowseed and Solemn Vision were on tour together. We almost died in Florida because an alligator ran across the highway.
Okay.
And the enormous semi truck that was in front of us slammed its brakes because an alligator ran in front of it. And if it wasn't for Morte, who was driving the van at the time, who knows how that would have turned out, because he had fast reactions and he swerved us into the breakdown lane to avoid rear-ending this enormous truck. We certainly would have lost that collision battle. So that was cool. That happened.
That's not the word I would use to describe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't cool at all. It was fucking terrible. So that's the first thing that came to my mind for whatever reason.
I think this one isn't like road specific, but going back to talking about the Lovecraft from earlier, like that was definitely one of the most fun shows we've ever played, because so we played there on like a Friday or Saturday or something, and it was an early show. It was only from like 8 p.m. to 10:30 or something like that. It was just the two of our bands and one local opener, and it was so much fun because right after that, they opened up their goth night. They had their like goth industrial night directly after the live show. So obviously we were all welcome there, and we just had this like wild night. We all got super fucked up.
It also happened to fall on the night of Mauricio, who's the other guitar player in Solemn Vision. It was his birthday that night. So we were celebrating, and so many people came out for this goth night. It was fucking packed. And so that was, we just partied till they kicked everyone out.
Yeah, and we got into a whole bunch of trouble. I remember like Aaron, the singer in your band, who was single at the time, was like trying to hook up with this girl, and then I don't know, wasn't there like a gay dude trying to hook up with him too or something like that? And like I don't know, there was some kind of like
Morte was having quite a lot of fun with multiple guys that night.
Yeah.
He had a great time.
Yes. And we ended up kind of like inadvertently sort of trashing the green room a little bit. We tried to clean it up afterwards, but
we were not trying to be like rock star divas. We were just having,
we
were having fun. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, we kind of made a mess. Let's fix this.
So we were respectful, but we made a lot of kind of friends that night, and
a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans. We were like goth. We were all on the floor like goth dancing at some point. It was so much fucking fun.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah.
I don't know about, because I'm not in the side of the music world, but or is it always accepting a female-led death metal band? Have you ever come to anybody who's like, that doesn't belong, or any problems with that?
No, I mean, like, I think it's becoming fairly common these days, actually. And the only kind of shit that I've had to deal with is just like getting hit on constantly. Like I would beg the guys in the old lineup to come with me to the merch table afterwards because, you know, they're all busy like loading out and stuff like that. I'm like, I will trade places with you happily. I will help you guys load out if one of you will go to the merch table because like it was just super creepy. I get hit on by dudes, I get hit on by chicks, and I'm just like, I am not here for this at all. Like I'm here to perform and like play fucking music. So I used to purposely dress really kind of agender. I wouldn't wear anything showing cleavage or anything like that. And I would do my makeup like really scary and fucked up looking, or maybe just have blood all over my face or something. Cause I'm like, I don't want to look sexy. I don't want you to be attracted to me. I'd rather you be scared of me and fucking leave me alone, you know? So I would say that's probably one of the shittier parts about being a female in a band in general. Like no matter if I'm the front woman or whatever. So, you know, we haven't really been like had judgmental people or anything like that. It's just the vibe is cringy sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you ask, like, do you ever run into people who like don't accept it? It's really the opposite. Sometimes there are, you know, guys who are too into it, you know, just like,
right.
you know, there's like a whole
female
kind of
middle.
Yeah, it's like this whole, you know, there's
they
a
make
lot of
that just like that's the thing. It's
like it's
yeah,
a whole genre on
it's
its
like
own.
there's a lot of dudes who are like, I'm really into female fronted metal, which like, you know, nowadays I've taken to going like,
it's a weird thing to
cool,
even say.
really
It's like it should be like I like the band because I like the band.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I think it's honestly, I think it's pretty cringy when people say I love female fronted metal, because it's like that doesn't mean anything. If I ask you what does your band sound like and you say we're female fronted metal, that means absolutely nothing. Like it doesn't tell me a single
it doesn't
thing.
mean it's good or bad. It just
I don't even know what it sounds like. You know,
Right.
you could sound like fucking Evanescence, or you could sound like Cannibal Corpse. I have no idea. You know, like
Right.
I only like music sung by bald guys. Or
yeah, exactly. No, literally.
Yeah,
Like
no,
nowadays,
it
I've gotten to the point where if people, you know, if people tell me, oh, I love female fronted metal, I go, oh, that's cool. I love male fronted metal. So I can watch their brains split in half as they realize like how dumb this conversation is.
Yeah, there's definitely this whole just sort of like cross section of, I don't know, maybe incel dudes. I don't really know, but
Or just like
definitely,
mostly harmless but socially awkward.
Right, they might be meaning
experienced
well.
guys,
It's just,
you know, like
yeah, and
it's
yeah, they come out to all of these, no matter what the music sounds like. If there's a girl singer, they're there. That's their fucking jam.
yeah. And
Which
that's
is
not
all
like
this is
a
to
great.
say.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's not like doesn't make you feel good either. If they just like everyone who happens to be a female singer.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm just like that's why I'm like, listen to my voice. For a long time I didn't even like singing like clean vocals because I didn't even want anyone focusing on the fact that there was a female voice at all. I'm just like, listen to my fucking like, you know, my gutturals and listen to the heavy music and like don't even think about the fact that I'm a female. Just like, you know, but now I'm kind of like, I've sort of come around a little bit to the idea that like, yes, it's a marketable thing and it would be better. Like, I wouldn't say I play into it. Like, I don't like dress, you know, like all fucking vamped up on stage. I mean, you know, if people want to do that, cool. That's not my thing. I don't feel that I need to do that or want to do that. But I have come around to the idea of, you know, like if somebody approaches us and they're like, hey, we're putting on this female fronted metal show or festival or tour, like it would be foolish to say no just because that's a missed opportunity. So, you know, over time we've become a little bit more open to at least not hating being lumped into that genre. But yeah,
Also,
would be genre.
All this is to say as well, if there's anybody listening to this who's a dude that like, you know, is like, I like female fronted metal and you're feeling attacked by this conversation, like it's okay. Like I'm not saying that you're like automatically a creep for feeling that way. Just don't be fucking weird about it. That's all. You know, like don't be a fucking weirdo about it and like, you know, come up to the singer after the show and be like, yeah, it's so cool to see girls in metal, as if it's this like novel thing nowadays, because it's not. It's just
It's
like,
not.
and also, I don't know, maybe try to like just think about the music for
Yeah,
what
just
it
say,
is
hey, I
rather
like
than
that.
who's
I
singing
like
it.
that song, or whatever.
Right,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, think
why?
about maybe just listen to the music for what it is and try and think
Yeah.
about that a little bit, you know.
Why bring gender into music? It's music. It's something you listen to. Like, gender shouldn't come into play, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I do understand that some people like female vocalists, like,
right. They
like
might
symphonic
just
metal.
the sound, the voice,
Yeah, sonically,
or
some
vice
people like
versa.
that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean like that, because it's like, okay, if you like female fronted symphonic metal, that makes a lot of more sense to say, because a female voice sounds a certain way when singing that style of music. So like, I do know people that only listen to metal that have pretty female vocals on it, and like that's not really what we mean at all.
Yeah.
So like, I can respect that, but
But
you know
on the other side of this whole spectrum is like one of my favorite death metal bands is another band originally from Boston called Abnormality. They're not together anymore. Their vocalist, when the band was together, she's a woman, and the first time I listened to them, I just assumed it was a man because she's doing super deep guttural death metal vocals, and most people who were doing that style are
Right.
guys. So I assumed I was listening to a guy, and then I look up the band to find their music, and I see pictures of them. I'm like, oh, so like. It doesn't really matter unless it's a very specific sound, like you were talking about, like the female soprano
Yeah, that's just something
operatic
you
thing,
prefer. Yeah.
like unless it's a really specific sound, it doesn't fucking matter, man.
Yeah. This might be a dumb question, actually, since you brought up like the guttural voice. Does that ever hurt your vocal cords, your throat?
There are times when we're on tour where if I'm doing it multiple days in a row, I do feel like a little bit of soreness sometimes, but that's kind of when you're on tour and you're doing something every single day, you're going to have some wear and tear no matter what part of your body you're engaging. Like Carlos has had sort of like a little bit of tendonitis issues on tour. So it's sort of like, your tour is going to fuck you up a little bit, no matter what you do. So there have been times like that. And there have been a couple times when I've been sick, where it actually, if you do gutturals when you're sick, like when you're hoarse, you can actually damage your vocal cords that way. So there's been a couple of times where I had to kind of step back and not really sing too much during the set. Luckily, the only time that happened on one of our major tours was at a show that was like not super well attended. So it was okay that I wasn't really on stage too much, and just sort of, I came on for a couple parts and then it was mostly an instrumental set after that. So it is risky sometimes, and if you're doing it incorrectly, if you haven't kind of learned the right way to use your voice, you can fuck up your shit that way. But that's true of any type of singing. It's not necessarily more or less dangerous per se, to do harsh vocals, and in terms of getting injured anyway, because there's been plenty of operatic singers too, like that have had nodules form and had to get them surgically removed and stuff like that. So when your instrument
Happens in all kind of genres. Adele has had like
Adele,
two
yeah, I
separate
was
throat
gonna
surgeries
mention,
because she was like belting her fucking head off when she was like 19 years old before she developed the right technique.
Right. I was gonna bring up Adele. So when your body is when your body is your instrument, it gets complicated, because you really have to, if you're tired, malnutrition, dehydrated in any type of way, if you're partying too much, you can put your body in a more vulnerable state to be damaged or be injured. And so it's kind of, the only times I've ever felt like I went too hard have been times when it was kind of like, okay, I didn't get enough sleep that night. That night I partied too hard the night before, or like, oh, I feel cold coming on and I went out and sang anyway. So yeah, that's kind of a unfortunate occupational hazard of the job. It's like if I were a guitar player or anything else, it wouldn't matter if I had the fucking flu or was like vomiting my brains out or something. I could still get up there and play, just keep a bucket nearby or something, right? But when you're a singer, you can't
It's a new gimmick for the band.
Oh man, okay. You just reminded me of this. Isn't really a road story. It's just a show story. But I remember one time. This was still when I was with that band, the first metal band I was ever in. I had been hanging out with some friends all night, and we'd been drinking. And I woke up feeling super hungover, and we had to go play a show that day. So I went to the venue, and I'm feeling like total fucking ass, just hungover as shit, super nauseous. And we're on stage getting ready, and I'm like. And so I go to like one of the bartenders or whatever, and I'm like, bro, do you have like a bucket or a trash can or something? Because I'm super hungover and I don't want to vomit all over your stage if I need to vomit. And he was like, oh yeah, I got you, bro. I'll bring you a trash can. And I was like, all right, cool. So he brought a trash can, and I was like, all right, fucking sick. It's like sitting there right by the side of the stage. I'm like, cool, I'm all covered. And then like right before we start playing, like our singer is like introducing the first song. Somebody else who works at the venue comes by and sees the trash can and is like, what's this doing here? And like takes it away. And I was like, no, please. I need this. But you know, we were already starting, so I had to just power through it. Fortunately, I didn't end up throwing up on stage.
It would have been very memorable, but yeah. So,
I've
I like
seen it
your
happen,
hat,
man.
by the way.
I've
What
seen
was
it
that?
happen.
I like your hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, we're all weirdos here.
Yeah. Lilith, now you've done some acting, or quite a bit of acting, I guess. Is that something you enjoy doing? You like to do more of? Or?
Yeah, actually, so for me, acting is also like being on stage. It's a place where I can perform and be really over the top and really deliver a lot of emotion, or just be dark and sinister and creepy. I always, I kind of try out for roles that are usually in the horror genre, because that's just kind of where I fit, right? Where my skills are at. So I love acting. I just read for a film that's casting in New England currently. So I'm not sure. I guess they had a lot of applicants. So I'm not really holding my breath on that one. But I'm hopefully going to be sort of a friend of mine out in Vegas knows a really good talent agent out there. So I'm hopefully going to be making connections with this person and getting back into acting a little bit, because one thing that New England definitely has going for it is they do have like a pretty decent kind of indie horror scene.
Yeah.
And that's something that Vegas does not have like whatsoever. The scenes in Vegas are kind of sparse, I guess, for lack of a better word. The music scene is kind of like that too. So since we relocated, it's been a little bit tricky to kind of navigate the same avenues that I was pursuing when I was living in New England full time. But I'm slowly kind of making my way back over there, and I hope that it works out, because I do miss acting a lot, and I've sort of had daydreams about just going more fully into that, and I think it would be really fun. But yeah, hopefully I'll get to be involved in some more projects soon before the end of the year.
Yeah, I know some from doing the show, some people who live in Vegas who work on independent films, but it's usually like they live in Vegas, but then they go to LA to do, to actually do the film.
Yeah, that's kind of, I was looking at stuff like that too. In LA, it's tough because everything's just so oversaturated. There's so much competition. So that's why I haven't really gone super hard with pursuing stuff in LA.
Yeah, most of the people I know, they kind of, I don't want to say cliques, but it's people that they like, and so they work together. So there's like little groups of people.
Yeah, that is something that I don't know if it's like that just kind of everywhere, but I do remember that about the New England acting scene. It's very, very cliquey. People, the producers.
Some of them will argue with each other, and which I
there's a lot of drama involved. Several of the directors I've worked with in the past like no longer get along with each other. And so there's all these little factions and sides. I'm like, oh, look, I'm a free agent. I don't give a fuck about your drama. I just want to come fucking do this shit. So, but yeah, people do tend to just stick with their favorites. So, and it sucks.
It's probably some people. I know for a fact that some people we both know, but no, it's like people I met on the first set I was at. I wasn't in the mood, just on there, and then like a couple years later, they all hate each other, and I don't know, but
yep, 100%.
Yeah, and I
So
shared because I used a picture of one of the for a banner for an interview, and then this other person was mad because like it's from their movie, but this person's in the. I was like, I don't understand why it matters, but I just thought it was good publicity for everybody involved.
right, you don't like necessarily keep track of who hates who
Yeah,
now
I don't
and
I
stuff
don't
like
know.
that, you know.
Yeah, exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah. So you mentioned the video with the black sand. Any plans for any new music videos coming up?
yeah, we've been talking about the idea of putting something new together. It has been a while. We're sort of like kicking around ideas for if we want to do it with any of the kind of older songs, or we want to wait until we have some new stuff together. Like, there's pros and cons to each situation, because obviously, if we're going to make a music video for a new song, we have to wait until it's, written, recorded, mastered, produced, and all of that. And that could take a while. We don't like to rush things. We like things to be right and before we put them out, not have to go back and like tweak anything, or be like, oh, when we go back and listen to it, we don't want to hear any like, oh, I wish I'd just done that a little different, or oh, I wish the mixing was better there. We want to make sure we're happy with it. So I've always kind of toyed with the idea of making a music video for our song Divine Submission, which is a kinky fetish song, and I think it would be definitely like pretty marketable, but I would need it to kind of do it the way I'm thinking of. Like, we would need a probably decent sized budget for it. So I don't know. In the meantime, though, because we know we haven't released any video stuff or anything really much at all since we moved, but we did put a live recording up from Lucky 13 actually on our last little winter tour there, of the Children of Bodom song "Hate Me." And we're big Children of Bodom fans, and we've been wanting to do a tribute to Alexi for a long time. And so it just so happened that we had a couple people in the audience for that show that brought cameras and stuff. So we grabbed their footage, and Caden did the video editing for it, put it together really nicely, and we released that just about a month ago. So
Yeah, I
feel
checked it
free to
out.
check it out. Check it
Yeah.
out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I did. I'll link it on the website so people can check it out.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, we've gotten some really good feedback and responses about it, so that makes us happy. When the fans of the original music like it, we
Yeah.
take that as a good compliment. So we're happy that other people enjoyed it, but at the same time, we were gonna do it regardless whether anyone fucking liked it or not, because it was something that we wanted
Right.
to do.
That's
So the fact
honestly, I
that
think
other
that's the
people
best
like it,
advice. Yeah. For
yeah.
anything, if you enjoy whatever you're doing, um, you're gonna like doing it, and then it's just a benefit, a bonus if people also like it.
Precisely.
Absolutely. I strongly believe that if you're an artist, you really have to be creating for yourself first. It's like you're gonna end up just
Or you just be very bitter. I think.
yeah,
You
you're
know.
gonna end up disappointed and bitter and stressed out if you're creating with the intent of trying to please your audience. You got to make shit that you're interested in making before anything else.
And where can people find all this? I think you can just put in Sorrowseed, and you're probably gonna
Yeah,
find it.
if you just put in sorrowseed.com, that links to all of our socials. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. If you'd like to support the band, you can go to Bandcamp. It is sorrowseed.bandcamp.com. That's also just linked from sorrowseed.com. We have a mailing list on there where we announce our tours and show dates and anything new happening. So that's kind of the portal. Just go to sorrowseed.com. And yeah, we have merch for sale. We got t-shirts and copies of all 3 of our albums and some other fun stuff. So come and check it out. And if you're into it and you want to support, Bandcamp's a great way to do it. Periodically, Bandcamp also does what they call Bandcamp Fridays, where they waive the service fee for artists, and we get 100% of whatever is spent. So those are good times to watch out for us or any other bands that you're trying to support. Bandcamp Friday, go on a little shopping spree.
Yeah,
And
if you're trying to support an independent band and they're on Bandcamp, that's where you should go, because Bandcamp, without question, always gives the artist the highest percentage of whatever you spend.
Well, that's
so
good
that's
to know
the best
then.
place.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well,
And
this has been very... Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say that, like, we, on a couple of places, our username is not always just like at Sorrowseed. Sometimes it's like Sorrowseed official or whatever. But like, we're fortunate enough to have a fairly unique band name. So if you just look up Sorrowseed, we're pretty easy to find everywhere.
Yeah. Usually when I start even asking people where can they find you, it's almost like you can just Google them and you're gonna find everybody.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to metal bands, every once in a while you come across a name that's like, Eternal Death. It's like, okay, man, no one's ever gonna fucking find your shit on Google. Like, good luck. But Sorrowseed is a fairly
that's a good little advice
name.
for anybody out there. Think of an original, not just original name, but something that's gonna be
easy to find in Google. Yeah.
Yeah, Smokey agrees. I heard Smokey.
Yeah, I think she's hungry now. She's starting to make noise.
Oh,
okay. Perfect time. It's been a really fun time talking to both of you.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much for having us. We had a great time.
Yeah, and come back anytime when you got something new coming out. We'll do it, or send me some info and I'll post it somewhere. But it'd be cool. Yeah, when get the new music out, we'll
absolutely.
Yeah, dude, love to come back whenever.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get everybody at that time. We'll all be in the same
my other
place.
two co-hosts couldn't be here either, so everyone will be here next time.
Okay, yeah. Ideally, at that point, we'll have a full lineup and everybody can talk.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds
Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. We had a
you.
great time.
Yeah.
Looking forward to chatting again soon.
Definitely. Now this
Thanks,
is going to be a little confusing because Sorrowseed was the music of the month in May. And so right now it's Timothy Fife. So I'm actually going to play a song from Timothy Fife, even though we just interviewed Sorrowseed. So that's very odd. They're very different music. But you can all the shows you listened to last month had all kinds of Sorrowseed tracks on them.
Hell yeah!
All right, so I'm going to play that here as soon as I find
Thanks,
it.
man.
Right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for listening and watching.